Christina Brandt, and this is my hands-on assignment number 6 on the e-discovery. The case that I briefed was Bray and Gillespie Management, LLC versus Lexington Insurance Company. The facts in the case: in May 2006, B&G gathered paper documents, ESI, and other information relevant to the case. Paper documents were scanned, and ESI, such as emails, were downloaded in native format. The scanned documents and downloaded ESI were copied to a hard drive. This information was converted to TIFF images, and the metadata from ESI was captured. On August 1, 2007, counsel for the parties filed a case management report and agreed to confer on all issues regarding production of ESI. They did not reach an agreement regarding the form in which ESI should be produced at that time. On August 17, 2007, Lexington served its first request for production of documents to B&G. In September, Lexington filed its second request for production. Each request for production specified that the documents must be produced in a way that the documents can be viewed in their native format with metadata. B&G first produced all the scanned documents that they had scanned and put into the files. On March 14, 2008, B&G sent a disk containing its first ESI production. B&G stated these disks contained emails and email attachments. Lexington did not review this ESI at that time due to them upgrading their computer systems. They figured that since B&G had said that they would produce more information in a few weeks, that they would just wait and do it all at one time. After receiving the second set of ESI, Lexington reviewed the files and discovered that the disks contained information that was in TIFF format. It had an index but no metadata or coding that would allow the documents to be searched by fields. Based on false testimony given by counsel for B&G, Lexington believed that the information was not available in its required format. On May 27, 2008, Lexington filed a motion for sanctions against B&G, arguing that B&G violated Rule 34 by failing to produce ESI in the form specified. It was uncovered that B&G had the original documents saved with the original native format and metadata. This was a federal rules case, and there was no procedural history on this case. The issue in this case was B&G, as well as their counsel, substantially justified in failing to produce discovery in the form requested by Lexington. The court held that no, they found that B&G and their counsel were not substantially justified in failing to produce discovery in the form requested. Lexington's motion for discovery sanctions and motion to compel proper production of documents was granted. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, specifically Rule 26, requires parties to confer and indicate their views on issues relating to discovery. The parties adhered to this rule during their scheduled meeting. Rule 26 does not require parties to agree on the form of production of ESI. Rule 34 allows the party requesting the production of documents to specify the form in which ESI is produced. Lexington specified this in their request for documents. Rule 34 also permits parties to object to the requested form for producing ESI and to state the form it intends to use. B&G failed to do this on several occasions, even though they had the opportunity to do so. In its request for documents, Lexington set forth specific instructions on the form in which ESI should be produced. ESI should be produced in native form without deletion or alteration of metadata. B&G violated Rule 34 by failing to produce ESI in the form requested by Lexington. Rule 37 provides for sanctions against parties that violate Rule 34. Things I learned. All parties really need to understand what the rules are regarding e-discovery. They need to keep up on the current laws regarding this. Following these rules is extremely important for all parties involved. Both sides, both plaintiff and defendant, need to pay attention to these rules. Keeping all participants in the loop regarding information that is discoverable. B&G changed counsels several times over the course of this case, and I think that each one of them didn't always know what the other one was doing, and they weren't all kept, up to date on what they were doing. Failure to follow the rules can result in extremely harsh and expensive punishment. B&G was required to pay a lot of money to redo all of this discovery that they had to do, plus other sanctions. Ignorance is not an excuse. You're required to know what the law is and what you're giving to the other side. You need to be aware and be aware that if you don't do it, you're probably going to get caught. Okay, the e-discovery software program that I demoed is called Discovery Assistant. This is fairly easy to use, and I'm going to show you how to just basically import files and some basic things that you can do with it. First, you'll need to add files to your project. I find it easiest just to drag and drop, so I'll go into my documents and I'll bring some documents over by just dropping them in. So now I have all my files listed right here. First thing that you need to do is files need to be queued to make any changes to them. Before you do that, it's easiest to do the dedupe. Gets rid of any duplicates. So on this one, you're just going to dedupe. You're going to do all the 14 items, and it's going to go ahead and check for any. It always gives you a log report here, and it says 0 local duplicates found. So we know that there aren't any duplicates in this batch of files. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to if you click up here, this shows you the list of all these things that are available. We want the ones that are convertible, so we'll click on that. All of these files are convertible. Now what we want to do is we want to queue these. So we're going to queue all the items. And that's basically going to set them up to do whatever else we want to do. So we're going to pick all of our queued items. Now I'm going to convert these to the TIFF file. I'm only going to choose a couple of them to save time. So I'll choose the first 4. So once I choose the first 4, we're going to convert them. So we hit convert, and we're going to hit the selected 4 items. We want the metadata, text, and image, and we're going to send it to just group 3. We're going to hit OK. Now what it's doing is it's converting these particular files. Okay, now we're going to look up here to the converted files. There's our 4 files that were converted from a Word document, and they are now converted to a TIFF group. So you can see the files down here by clicking on them. It shows you the files and what they look like. So before we check these, we're going to Bates number them. So we're going to go up here to the Bates. We're going to Bates number all of them. This is going to come up. You can choose what number to start with, how many numbers to show, and the prefix, which I'm going to change to this. I'm going to start at 11, and then we're going to hit OK. Now it's changed all of our Bates numbers. Now what we can do is check these files by doing the QC check. We're going to check all 4 items. It brings up all the items. We're able to accept or reject them. We're also able to look at and mark these. So you can set default values by adding names, like it was coded by, reviewed by, and if it's the default one, which I would guess you would put your own name in there and you're just going to mark it over there. You can change the review status to final approval or approved. We'll just put this one as a preliminary review. Whether it's privileged or not, we'll put this as yes. And the status of the privilege, which this one might be a litigation privilege. And then we can accept that one. We can reject the next one. We can, and then accept the remaining. So we'll accept the remaining. And then there we go. So this shows over here whether they passed the QC. These ones that were marked true were passed. This one we rejected. We can then export files. So you just click on the export all of these, send it to where you need to send it to with all this other information, and then you would hit continue. Some of the other things in here, you can stamp these, you can mark them, you can change the language that they're in, requeue things, plenty of different other options that I didn't even get to go into. So that's my report on electronic discovery. Thank you.